Welcome to this live stream. There we are. How is everybody doing during the Las Vegas weekend?
Monday.com. Any work platform we tried in the past. We tried other work management platforms. I'm not naming names. They all suck. Monday?
Yep. No, I had planned on to not watch the free practice sessions, but just in case, I set my alarm for 1:30 this morning to see FP3, especially since FP1 and FP2 weren't that there wasn't that much information to get from those two sessions. And I got up and it was fine. So yeah, watched free practice session from 1:30 to 2:30, and then I watched a bunch of YouTube and drank a lot of coffee. Had my breakfast, and then it was time for the pre-show for qualifying. And after that, I watched the qualifying. But the downside of having these races so early is that I don't know what to do with the rest of my day. Now, Samantha's not well, and we usually do shopping together. So after the gym, I did the shopping on my own, and I watched a movie. And yeah, that was enough to get me through the day. And now, live stream, and then straight to bed. So let me see who is all here. I see Inge. Hello, Inge. How nice of you to make it after missing it 2 times. Hello, Christina. Hello, Gentilis. Richard. Hello, Iersemite, Samantha. That's Samantha's other account, I think. And the Lonely Cyclist. Hello, Martin. And of course, Eva. Slaunche with your pint. But there's something going on with the usernames in my chat. Because Eva is always called Bastard Operator from Hell, and she's called Eva now. And then Samantha is Ierse Meid. Hello, Marie. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Richard. Gentilis. Weird. But, yeah. I'll get used to it. So, guys, I prepared predictions from, P20 to P1. We'll go through them, and then we'll just discuss each driver's weekend as far as I remember how it went. Like I said, I've missed FP1. I watched half of FP2 in work, and then by the time I got settled to watch it, the red flags came in. So yeah, that wasn't a session that got us a lot of information. And then FP3 I was watching this morning. So it should be enough information to have a little chat about it. And qualifying was very exciting as well. I enjoyed that. A wet Las Vegas track, which is always slippery already, but now with rain and then the cold temperature, it just didn't want to dry up. We used blue tires, full wet tires, for the first time in 3 or 4 years. And I thought, when Stroll started using inters, I thought everybody was going to do it, but it was too early. So yeah. Um. Yeah. No, guys, start. I'm gonna start with the 3 drivers that I think are gonna DNF. Okay. So this is the way I prepared it. I'm just gonna pull this down to reveal who's the next driver. Yeah. That's as far as my technical knowledge goes. But it's not in the way too much this way, so I'm happy enough. Oh. Make sure this is off. Okay. Yeah, for the DNFs, I predict that in the back regions, some of them will have a really good start, some of them will have a bad start, and those 3 drivers are gonna connect to each other, and they're all gonna DNF. Antonelli has been quite lucky, not DNFing with the crash he had with Piastri and Leclerc. But his luck's going to run out. He's starting pretty far away in the back. And like I said, with these guys around him, Stroll and Colapinto, anything can happen. Stroll did have a couple of really good qualifying laps. For some reason, he's really good in these really low grip, wet conditions. Turkey 2020, I think he put it on pole, and then he had an issue during the race, and he dropped out of the points even, or maybe even a P10 or something. So yeah. Okay, so the first driver I have here is Esteban Ocon. Esteban Ocon is getting owned by young Oliver Bearman. Qualifying head-to-head in the last, 6-7 races is all for Bearman, and race head-to-head is also highly in favor of the young Englishman. Yeah. What I really like about oh no, I'm going to talk about him later. So yeah, Ocon is I don't know. I think. Do you guys think he's a little bit underperforming? Like he should stay on top of a rookie. I'm just gonna put that in a poll. Is Ocon underperforming? Yes. No. Easy. I'm just reading the chat here. So, Marie is here from New Zealand. Yes. And everybody is talking to Samantha about being sick. And then Christina says, honestly, I feel sorry for anyone who has those times all the time. Well, the Australians and the New Zealanders, the antipodes, as I learned the last time. Antipodes, is that how you pronounce it? They get races at 5 o'clock on Monday morning, which is ew. That's just before you go to work. Samantha, you're saying Stroll isn't driving because he's getting replaced? I think it's going to be a training session at some point where Jack Crawford is going to be replacing him for one FB1 session. But Stroll is definitely racing. Inge says Stroll's a wet wipe, so there's no surprises there. Very nice. And Gentili says Stroll is like a broken clock. Twice a season it works. The rest, not so much. Now, Ocon is underperforming because he does well against his teammates usually. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, let's see how it develops. But they were both rookies, or they were both new in the Haas team, so they both had to get used to things. And for some reason, Behrman did it a lot better. And Ocon knows what it's like to go from team to team, because he drove for Force India, I think, and then he drove for Racing Point. Renault, and then Alpine, and then Haas. Okay, so let's go to the next driver. P16, Gabriel Bortoleto. Yeah, he was a bit invisible this weekend. He was out in Q1, as far as I know, and yeah, you know what it's like with these rookies. One weekend they really surprise you. The next weekend they're completely invisible. And last week in his home race, he just kept crashing, and like proper crashes, because the crash he had in the sprint, I think one hit was 50G and the next hit was 58G or something. It was massive. But yeah, the safety of these cars is just unbelievable. So yeah, young Gabriel Bortoleto is not going to score any points, and he's going to finish P16. Yuki Tsunoda. Yeah. Apparently, Red Bull tampered with his tire pressures, and that messed his qualifying up. And then a few races ago, he had a 12-second pit stop. And then I think last race, he had a penalty for a crash. And then they didn't serve the penalty right, so he got 10 seconds on top of that. And yeah, he's just... if he didn't have bad luck, he would have no luck at all. So for this race, he's going to move up a couple of places, and maybe they'll test out the mediums on his car for Max, and that's all he can do for Max at that time. But yeah, I also think he's going to be out of Red Bull for next season, even though in my last video I said that Max wants him to stay. Okay, let's see how this poll ended. 75% says yes and 25% says no. Okay, I'm just going to do another poll. I'm just going to do simple polls of yes and no. Will Yuki be out of Red Bull season? Yes. No. Let me see what the chat's saying. Aoife is already talking about Hamilton, but yeah, we're not at Hamilton yet. Let's see where I put him. The Lonely Cyclist says 12 Oscar, 11 Lando. That would be amazing. Like, we're not wishing a DNF on them, but a nice no point finish. Yeah. Marie says you have to feel for Yuki. He will go to IndyCar. Yeah. Or he can go to home to Japan and drive Super Formula. That's also Red Bull. Christina says at this point Yuki is just a testing lab rat for Red Bull. Marie said he had a test drive and did quite well. Marie, are you saying he had a test drive in IndyCar? I've missed that. Wow. Okay, next on the list. Alexander Albon. I noticed that Alexander Albon is starting to perform less now that Carlos Sainz is doing much better. And if it wasn't for the big lead he already had on Carlos Sainz, he would lose out to the Spaniard, which surprises me. But I think they're both really, really good. But yeah, there's a lot of little mishaps with Alexander Albon. And coming to think of it, there's also a lot of mishaps with Carlos Sainz. But in qualifying, he does really well. And Carlos Sainz has already scored a podium this season. So, yeah. There's always a lot going on at Williams, coming to think of it, you know? Mistakes and you can tell that they're making steps, but there's still a little bit of chaos left in that old Williams team. But let's see how they do next year when the new regulations are there and James Vowles has had time to organize things even better. So, okay, and the next driver is P13, Lewis Hamilton. Yeah. I'm always, and I know what they're like, Team LH, but I'm always so surprised how they find ways to always blame something other than Lewis Hamilton. Because today, Lewis Hamilton had a full tank, just like all the other drivers, and he was able to set 6-7 fast laps on a track that kept improving. Yeah. And in Q1, you only have to put yourself into P16. No, P15 to get through to the next round. And I don't know whether his first banker laps were too careful or he just couldn't get it going. But he went over the start-finish line and apparently had a bollard under his car, which he hit himself. And Team LH says that Adami should have told him that he was able to do another lap. And then there's people that listened to the radio traffic, and Adami, during that fast lap, has told Lewis twice to keep going because he could set another lap. And he didn't. So yeah, for some reason they always manage. It's Leclerc's fault. It's Adami's fault. It's Ferrari's fault for building a bad car. It's other drivers on the track's fault. It's the FIA's fault. FOM is involved in making sure Hamilton doesn't win again. John Elkann, he's the bad guy too. He pays the guy $200 million in a couple of years, ambassador role and everything, but he's just doing it to break down the legend that is Lewis Hamilton, according to some people of Team LH. Oh dear. Eva says Hamilton will be the first driver since DJ in 1981 to compete a full season for Ferrari without scoring a podium. Yes, and he was also the first driver since 20 or 25 years to finish a qualifying session in P20. But I forgot the name of the driver. So Marie says, how did Lewis Hamilton end up last? The communication within that team is terrible. Well, he had a bollard under his car. It had nothing to do with the communication this time. The Lonely Cyclist says, I find it not fair of F1 to not count a sprint podium as podium. They do count the points, so the podium is, in my honest opinion, valid. So in my opinion, Lewis has had a podium with Ferrari. Yeah. If you look at it that way, then he even had a win. Christina says, Adami told him to push. Yeah, exactly. That's what I said. Eva says, you mean that sprint in China when the car turned out to be illegal? Yeah, that one. Hey, Ivan. Thank you for jumping in and giving us the proper information. Giancarlo Fisichella was the driver to qualify in P20. And guys, was he any good? Was Fisichella any good? Was he a title contender, race winner? Because I don't know much about him. It's before my time. Christina says, well, no driver is physically on the podium, so you cannot count it as a podium. All right. Okay, let me stop this poll. Oh, there's still some people that think he's going to stay in Red Bull, Yuki. Okay, next driver. Nico Hülkenberg. Yeah, I don't think the Stake cars or the Sauber cars are very quick this weekend. And the fact that that Nico Hülkenberg qualified half decent is just due to skill of Nico Hülkenberg and experience. But I'm not expecting points for Sauber. I'm hearing a lot of good things about Audi. I did really like the livery. That's going to be the next poll. Did you like the livery Audi has shown? Yes. No. Hey, Vegas! The weather has made each session unique. It will be cold and a quick race, great atmosphere for sensational happenings. Thank you, Vegas. Fun. Vegas. Okay, Ivan says Fisichella just replaced injured Felipe Massa for the rest of 2009 and 2 races by Luca Badour. Now, I've seen a video about Luca Badour from, I think it was Josh Revel. But Fisichella, no, I don't know much about him. And was this Felipe Massa injury with the spring that went through his helmet? That was mad. Eva says, I still rate Hamilton a tad better than Badour, though. And everybody say hello to Vegas, who's visiting his home race this weekend. Okay, and the next driver to talk about is Pierre Gasly. Yeah, Alpine. Um, I think he's starting a bit higher, but yeah, during the race he's gonna have some bad luck and just outright pace missing. So I think he's just gonna go get barely out of the points. But yeah, it's so hard to predict because these teams are all so close to each other. You know, like I could have them all right, I could have them all wrong, and anything in between. But yeah, that's what I think. And now we're getting into the points. It's fucking Liam Lawson. It's Liam Lawson. He's gonna score a point. The Racing Bulls were pretty quick. They were right up there in Q3. So, and they have a big battle on their hands with Aston Martin. So, yeah, it's interesting to see how they will do. We know Marie is here from New Zealand and she loves Liam Lawson. I just want to apologize again for all the negative stuff I said about him. I do like him because the Visa Cash App YouTube channel or the social media team, Liam and Isaac have so many funny little videos. Like the other day or a couple of weeks ago, I saw Liam Lawson grabbing a pan, and the pan was hot, so he dropped it and he went ah, and then Hajar put a guitar in his hand and he went ding a ling a ling a ling a ling. Yeah, that was funny. Oh. And yeah, they're always doing these little gags, little sound bites. So if Liam Lawson is out of F1, out of Visa Cash App team next season, then I'll miss the social media side of it. Christina says Gasly is flying in Vegas. Yeah, so Christina, you think he's gonna end up higher? Okay. Is there anybody else that thinks Gasly is gonna finish higher? Okay. Interesting. And Christina says Marie says, I don't love him. He can come across as arrogant. Yeah. Like, I don't mind if drivers are arrogant, but you have to have the results to back it up, you know? It's one of the reasons why Stroll is so not liked, because he has this attitude and very little results to speak of. And Liam Lawson, he after he was kicked out of Red Bull, he took 5 or 6 races to get into the rhythm at Racing Bull, and he started to get a lot better now. So, Eva is talking about Gasly. He's French. Okay, next driver in P9 we have Hulkenberg again. Oh no, that's impossible. I'm just trying to think what driver. Okay, guys, keep an eye on all the drivers in a minute, and then we're gonna find out which driver I muddled up. Yes. So we don't know who 9 is because, yeah, it's not Behrman because I thought about Behrman. Yeah, Behrman is one of the revelations of this season. He just keeps inputting these wonderful qualifying sessions and keeps having really good races. Scored a bunch of points, and he's I don't know. It's because he's still young, but he's still nice and friendly. You know what I mean? He's got a bit of that George Russell vibe when Russell was at Williams the first 2 years. You know, before he became a cunt. Yeah. So hopefully Behrman will stay a nice, modest, funny guy. That's what I'm hoping. Okay, let's look at the livery poll that we did. Vegas, I think you're right. I think I forgot to put in Alonso. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So Fernando Alonso in P9. That's a little bit underwhelming seeing how fast the Aston Martins were. But yeah, you know, as he says himself, he's the unluckiest driver in the whole world. So um, I wonder how he's going to fare next season with an Adrian Newey car. Adrian Newey is doing a lot of podcasts and interviews, and there I think there's going to be a documentary about his life, filmed by Ben Affleck. So yeah, Adrian Newey and his new project. It would be nice to see Alonso win a couple of races, and then, you know, at the end of that season, he can say, "Okay, I've done enough. I can go." It's just annoying that his last win was the Crashgate win, and yeah, that's still an item because Felipe Massa is in court for it. Hello, Fibbit a bit. Thank you for joining the live stream. Yeah, okay. So Behrman, anybody has anything to say about Behrman? Yeah, he's a good kid. And you know what's so funny? Every time I see his father in the paddock, I'm thinking, Jesus, he's a guy just like me. So I Googled him, and like, we're the same age. Behrman's father and I, David Behrman. So yeah, it just makes you wonder, you know. Like, I've got my eldest is 18, so he could have been in F1 theoretically. Yeah, no, it's just funny how you see like, when I started watching F1, if you saw a driver's father, then they were always old. You know, Anthony Hamilton or Mr. Vettel. Those were people you saw in the paddock once in a while, and they were proper dads. But now I see a dad of a young driver, and I'm thinking, you know, that's a young guy like me. You know, yeah. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just ranting. Okay, in P7 we have Isaac Hajar scoring a bunch of points for the Racing Bulls. Yeah, I don't have much to say about that. You know, Hajar is always qualifying well, and he's always having good races. And Helmut Marko said that he has the gift that when he drives on a new track, within 2 or 3 laps, he's at the right level, where other drivers take 15 to 20 laps. So that's high praise coming from the Austrian little dictator. So, okay, I'm just going to go through a few comments here. Adrian Newey's documentary should be interesting. Yeah, I think so as well. I love this book, although I always skip past the drawings because I don't understand all the technical stuff anyway. And Marie says, Behrman is a nice young man so far. Yeah, that's exactly my point. Marie says, you're young, Wimbo. My eldest is 41. Yeah. I am young. Same as David Behrman. He's also young. Christina says, Berryman, nice, talented kid. Hopefully he will be smart enough and will avoid Ferrari. No, it's his dream to drive for Ferrari. And that's the thing. If you're in the Ferrari junior team and you're promoting to F1, then they all want to drive for Ferrari because they all think that Ferrari is going to be different when they're there. Yeah? So it's like, yeah, Ferrari's a mess now, but when I drive there, it's all going to be different. But yeah, Ferrari is Ferrari. And it's very hard to change things there. Although some changes are happening because the ridiculous things like Ferrari a couple of years ago would have maybe sent Leclerc out on slicks, you know, just like they sent him out on Inters once when everybody was on slicks. Those kind of things, those strategic, complete head loss moments. Yeah, they don't have them anymore under Fred Vasseur. Fibbit a bit says, is Eccleston's youngest son karting? I don't know. Does anybody know? Okay, in P6 we have Charles Leclerc. Speak of the devil. Yeah, I think he's starting in P9, so getting 3 places ahead of himself. It's not bad. Yeah, Ferrari wasn't locked in this whole weekend, so I think that would be a decent haul of points for Charles. And yeah, everybody feels sorry for him, that he's stuck in that team and that he's so loyal. But I think it's kind of beautiful just to keep riding it out with the team that you're intended to drive for. And if it happens, it happens. And if it doesn't, then it doesn't. You know? Now, I do think that the rumors of Charles Leclerc talking to Aston Martin, that they serve a purpose. I think Ferrari is moving in a certain direction that Leclerc doesn't like. And as a leverage, he starts talking to other teams as to say, look, if you go in this direction, I'm out. And then I don't think the Tifosi would accept it if Ferrari chase Charles away, you know? So I don't think that's gonna happen. Okay. This is a good question. Yes? Will ever leave? Yes. No. Christina, you said they basically did send him on wrong tires this season. What race was that, Christina? Because like a blatant error, like I was talking about earlier, I haven't seen. And I also remember, a race where they put him on hards. I think it was a race where Max spun as well in 2023. And then Leclerc overtook him again, and then Max just... Was it Hungary? You have to help me out, guys. What race was it where Charles Leclerc was put out on a damp track on hards, and Max overtook him, and then Max spun like he did a 360, and then got going again and overtook Leclerc again? It wasn't Germany because we haven't had Germany for a few years, but that's another race where Max had a 360 and won. Christina says Ferrari looked decent on Friday, but when it rains, they become back markers. Yeah, that's what Charles Leclerc was saying. That uh, for as long as he's been driving for Ferrari, they're shit in the rain. So yeah. And Vega says even losing, it's still Ferrari. Yeah. Ivan knows it. Hungary 2022. Yeah, I thought it was Hungary. But that was the race where Charles Leclerc was sent out on hards and he had no grip at all. Okay. And the next driver in the top 5 is Carlos. Yeah, Carlos Sainz is starting from P3, but yeah, there's faster cars behind him, so he's going to lose 2 places, which isn't too bad. I don't think he's going to score another podium. But yeah, Carlos can do the funniest thing ever by breaking up his friendship with Norris by taking him out of the race by accident. You know? Would he do that for Max? Well, no. He'd probably do it the other way around because those guys are close. Norstappen is close. Christina, what did you say? Miami Sprint. He DNF'd during a reconnaissance lap. Hamilton almost hit the barriers too. Right, yeah, I remember that. He didn't even make it to the start because he went out. But yeah, that was just a sprint. That doesn't count. Canada 2024. Charles Leclerc. I just know Max won that race with a brilliant strategy. Don't know where Charles Leclerc ended. Okay, so in P5 we had Carlos Sainz. Yeah, good position to finish. Good points, 10 points. In P4 we have Oscar Piastri. Now, I posted this on my community page, but somebody from his PR team, or he did it himself by accident, pressed the repost button on a quote from Eccleston saying that Lando Norris was favored because he had more star power and he was British and all those things. Yeah, that looked really weird and everybody was talking about it. It was mostly Lando Norris fans who talked about Oscar Piastri being cringe and stuff. It really triggered them for some reason. But yeah, what I expected, what would happen happened, and Oscar said, yeah, I don't know how it got there. Maybe I pressed the wrong button, or somebody in my team did, but it wasn't intentional. So that was that. Yeah, what can I say about Piastri? Like, the rumors have it that the last few little upgrades on the car were all intended to give Norris a better feel of the car, and it went away from Piastri, and Piastri has to deal with that, and he can't, and that's why he keeps performing well, not at championship level. You know, he finishes races, but in P5, and I guess tomorrow he's gonna finish in P4. That's my guess. Unfortunate. Okay, and now we're going to the podiums. In P3 we have George Russell. Yeah, he's gonna climb a position. He's gonna take the position from what do you call him, Carlos Sainz, and Yeah, he's going to have a good solid race, good solid podium. Like, I think it's going to be one of those races for Russell where people say does nothing, gets podium. Yeah, because he had a load of them. One funny thing is that twice George Russell won a race where Lando Norris DNF'd. So in that sense, I wouldn't mind if Russell won, Max P2, and Lando Norris DNFs. But yeah, for the championship, that would be a lot of fun. Okay, goodbye, Marie. She's off for a ride before the race. See you next time. That was a little bit too much information, Marie, but have fun. Okay, let's reveal. Oh no, let me do the poll first. What did everyone say? Will Leclerc ever leave Ferrari? 76%, no, 67% says no, and 33% says yes. Okay. I always like seeing drivers that are like solidified in one team going to another team, just, to make it completely different. But most of the time it doesn't really work out. So I'm also a traditionalist, so I like it when drivers stay at the same team for a long time. So I'm going both ways. Okay, now I'm gonna reveal the top two, and you're never gonna guess this, but I have Lando Norris in P2 and Max Verstappen in P1. Nobody expected this. Yeah, I think Max is gonna get him at the start, and then he's gonna direct the pace, and Red Bull's gonna have the right strategy. And if there's safety cars, then Max will have a really good safety car restart, and he'll stay in the lead, and he'll win the race, and he'll keep the championship going for a little bit longer. But the 7 points, is it 7? Yeah, the 7 points he will gain on Lando will not be enough to make a dent in Lando's championship ambitions. But it's still nice to see Max win his 6th race this season. It's interesting, how bad the RB21 was at certain parts of this season, and how Max still managed to win races in that car. Okay. Eva says, should Piastri end up behind Verstappen, he will arguably be the worst F1 driver in history, squandering a 105-point lead. Unheard of. It really takes a very special kind of stupid to pull that off. Jesus, Eva, you're always so harsh. This is Oscar, You're allowed to dunk on Lando Norris, Lando Norris had a stupid pole today because he had a wobble in the end and he lost 6/10. Yeah? And Oscar Piastri is, oh, poor Oscar. Yes? It's fair. And Richard says Piastri's downfall should be studied. I think stuff will come out. But what I just said about how a car was, was changed in a certain direction that Piastri couldn't handle and Norris did. And then at the same time, Norris is doing exactly what he needs to do with those upgrades, he scored 3 poles in a row, and I have Max as a winner, but Lando could easily have a great start and drive off in the distance. So and then he'll have won 3 races in a row, which is exactly what you need to do if you want to be a champion. Christina says, I hope Max will win to shut up Lando girlies who have been on their high horses. Yeah, but you know what's so annoying about the Lando Norris girlies? Everything is going their way now, yeah? Lando is leading, 24 points. Lando scoring poles. He's not saying ridiculous stuff in the media. He's genuinely being a really good driver, and you know, I can't complain about Lando Norris the way he is now in the last couple of races. But all the only thing that those Lando Norris girlies do is create scenarios about how Lando Norris is being attacked and being hated and making drama over nothing. You know, instead of celebrating. Like, there's so much to celebrate for them, and they choose to moan about Piastri and media coverage and his girlfriend. So yeah. The Lonely Cyclist says, are we all ready to see Max drive with 3 next season? That's a good point. I think he's going to go for it. But, you know, he had a Dutch interview the other day, and he was messing about saying that he might take the number 69, and 33 was nice, and 3 was nice. So, yeah, he's not going to reveal it yet. It's going to be a surprise. Okay. And then Christina says, are we ready to see Norris with number 1? I think Norris is the type of guy that has so much ego that he doesn't want the number 1 and that he'll rather stick with the number 4 because that's his number and he doesn't want the 1. Just like Lewis Hamilton always said, ew, 1 is an ugly number. I'll stick with my 44. I'm a traditionalist, so I think it's an honor for a driver to drive with the number 1. So I'd rather see, you know, the championship winner with the number 1. And I don't like it when drivers don't take it. But I don't think Norris is going to take it. Maybe make a pull out of it. Will Norris take the 1? He's Eva says, harsh but true. No, Lando is not a good driver. He's the poster child for Nepo babies in F1. Yes, but, you know, he's doing more than Stroll could do, you know, and that's honest, you know. Like, they both have billionaire dads and paying their way through the ranks, but Norris is has 7 poles this season, and I think he's got about 7 or 8 wins already. So, yeah. No, Inga, I don't get paid per pole. I don't know. I just thought, let's throw in a few poles to kill some time. And it's almost 9 o'clock, so it's going well. Ivan says, I would like to have an old driver system. What was the old driver number system that you got the number that you finished in? So if you became champion, you had a 1, and then number 2 got a number 2, and number 3 got a number 3. Now I kind of like seeing those specified numbers for all the drivers. You know, like 44 for Lewis and 55 for Sainz and 77 for Valtteri Bottas and 11 for Checo Perez. And what else have we got? 22 for Yuki Tsunoda. Those are all the double numbers. And then what else have we got? 3 for Daniel Ricciardo, 7 for Vettel was number 5, wasn't he? Yeah. Kimi was 7. Oh, team standings. Okay, Ivan, I missed that part. Eva says Norris has the better car than Stroll. That's all. Okay. Christina says I also hate to admit it, but he really drives well. How much is the car helping him? That's the question. McLaren drives always smoother than, for example, Merc or Ferrari. Yeah, it's a combination of things. And then seeing how much Lando struggled at the start of the season when he's throwing the car around all over all the places and kept making mistakes, then maybe he is a bit of a car merchant. But then, if the car's that good, you'd think that Oscar Piastri would do better as well then, you know? Christina says Liberty Media may force Lando to take number 1. They want Marquez in MotoGP also to have number 1 next season. Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah, I don't follow MotoGP. Inge says, thank you for the hour of entertainment, y'all. I'm off. Okay, enjoy the darts. 180. That's true, Richard. Lando is still an incredibly poor wheel-to-wheel racer, and hopefully we'll see it again tomorrow. Okay, I'm just going to finish this poll. What did everybody say? Will Norris take the 1? 62% says yes, 38% says no. Even a guy like Piastri, now on track to become the greatest loser in F1 history, was once leading the championship in that car. Yeah, that's true. Guys, I'm just gonna almost finish. I have no ideas yet for a new video. I'm just gonna let the race tomorrow decide what my new topic is gonna be. I found a Pakistani girl who will do thumbnails for me fairly cheap. So I want to see if having professional thumbnails will get my views up a bit. So that's something you can notice. So far, she's only done 1. So if you see a nice thumbnail, I still did that myself. And yeah, I just wish you all a very nice race tomorrow morning. Make sure your alarm goes off. And yeah, I'll see you all in the comments of my next video or in the live stream next week. Let me see the last comments here. Christina says Lando's race engineer still has to dictate a lot of things to Lando. Yeah, but I've noticed that too. How he's being coddled all the way through. But yeah, if that works for him, then that's fine. Right, everybody. I'll see you all in the next one. Take care now. Doei doei.